Thank you so much for flying on over here to the Awesome Padrone Show. We just saw Superman. Well, you saw it a few days ago. I just saw it today. And just because I know, well, we haven't filmed in a while, but yeah, and if it looks different, it's because we're in a different house today. We're in my house. I think we talked about it in the past before, but me and Zach don't live together anymore. So this is my house, and we don't have it set up yet. So we'll have it set up more later on, but for now we're just going to go back and forth between our houses. So just have it even split between us. But we're going to talk about Superman today. It's a movie I've honestly been really looking forward to.
It's definitely one of my most anticipated movies of this year.
Yeah, especially because I'm a huge fan of James Gunn. And honestly, I've been wanting them... A lot of people don't agree, but I've been really wanting them to reboot the DC universe for a while. Because I just felt like the DC universe was going nowhere for quite some time.
Yeah, and I've really wanted DC to be good.
Yeah.
I've always wanted Marvel and DC to be at the top of their game.
Yeah.
So we could have two different universes to be going to see movies for the good movies.
Yeah, and when it comes to the DC, what it was, I liked Man of Steel quite a bit. Batman vs Superman, I do think that one gets too much hate, but I liked it a lot at first, and then as time went on, I kind of liked it less, but I still do like it.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy it more than a lot of people do, but I can still recognize it's a pretty flawed movie.
Yeah. And then after that, other than Wonder Woman was good. I wasn't a big fan of Aquaman. I know you were.
Yeah.
And then
I haven't seen it in a while, but I know when I first saw it, I liked it.
Yeah. And then Justice League, Joss Whedon was awful.
Yeah.
It was awful. Justice League, Zack Snyder was better. Okay? It was better.
Yeah.
All right? It was not a masterpiece like some people like to claim.
Right.
It was better. Okay? It was watchable. All right? I didn't hate myself while watching it. All right?
Right.
So, but overall, I just felt like they needed to revamp it all.
Yeah, especially like with movies like Suicide Squad and
I didn't
Wonder Woman 1984. You didn't bring out the big guns.
Oh man, Lord, I forgot about this, man. Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
Suicide Squad. David Ayer is honestly like one of my least favorite. It's probably like my least favorite movie of all time. Like I think there's probably worse movies,
right?
But like whenever I think of like the movie that made me angry while watching it, it was Suicide Squad.
And it was even worse because we were dressed up as the Jared Leto Joker sitting in that theater and having to sit there and take it all in.
We sat there looking like some major fans of Jared Leto's Joker, and we walked out like, man, this movie's terrible, and Jared Leto was awful. But then obviously love Guardians of the Galaxy. I always felt like, and then loved the Suicide Squad, all those made by James Gunn. Because I feel like the thing about James Gunn is he really understands his characters really well, like deeply.
Right.
And I think that's what makes him a really good storyteller, and what makes him write this character so well.
Yeah, and stories with a lot of emotion. I mean, they'll have humor in them, but humor in the movies, but there's always a lot of emotion to the characters. Yeah,
and I feel like another big thing about James Gunn is he has like a near obsession with like the obscure, and like
for better or worse.
Yeah, for better or worse. Yeah, and also for better or worse, finding small details that make comic books and implement those in the movies. And so watching Superman, this movie today, I've been rooting for it because there's been so many people who have been giving it hate for honestly no actual reason.
It's such a strange phenomenon. Like any post I would see on social media leading up to this movie, even like this entire year, not just like the past couple of weeks, but like for the past like year or so, any post on social media related to this movie, there's always bound to be at least a few comments from like crazy like Snyder fans, like just trying to trash the movie before the movie even came out or was even made.
And like, don't get me wrong, like I get liking the Snyder movies. The Snyder movies were not bad. They were not bad. But I think what irritated me so much is ultimately, if you really look into it, Zack Snyder's movies were not They didn't really fully grasp what makes Superman really. You know, because Superman's a lot brighter of a character.
Right, yeah, and hopeful and everything.
Yeah, and his movie's really dark and depressing. Which, in their own right, the way he did them wasn't awful, but they could have been
like you said, we did like Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman pretty decently.
Yeah. So
but it did have its faults.
yeah. So going into this, I was like, man, I hope this is good. And honestly, beforehand, I was excited because it's getting good reviews. And honestly, I'm still excited that it's getting good reviews. I'm glad about that. But I will say, going into this movie, I don't want to say, it's hard for me to say I was disappointed because I do think it's not as good. It's not nearly as good as I was hoping it would be before, like a few months ago. But like as reviews have come out, and I've read reviews and I've watched videos about it, people who have been talking about why they love it made me realize, I'm like, oh, I may not like that much.
Yeah, right.
And so I probably like it about as much as I thought I was going to while walking into it. If that makes sense.
After you're reading those reviews.
Yeah, because the reviews, if you read a lot of reviews and watch reviews, the people who love it really do bring up a lot about how comic booky it is. And it really is comic booky. It's like one of the most comic booky, I don't know.
yeah. It's the best way to describe it.
Yeah, movies I've seen in a while. And to be fair, to be honest, and like we were saying earlier, talking about James Gunn, the James Gunn isms in my mind aren't his humor thrown here, humor thrown there, you know. And I will say there is a lot of humor in this movie, but the James Gunn isms in my mind is the obsession with obscurity, and the loving to find the small details that make comic books and implementing those into a movie. And while I do respect that, I do feel like that's where he kind of fell into a fault with this one.
Right.
Yeah. And just because there was something about it that just felt, while it was bright and things like that, and I did appreciate that, it also just felt kind of, there was moments that just didn't feel very real. You know, it was hard for me to fully feel into it the whole time, just because it didn't translate well to movie.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I do think I liked the movie a decent amount less than you did. When I saw it the first time on Thursday, not to get into too big of a story, but I had a pretty bad theater experience, and I was hoping that affected my enjoyment of the movie. Because I had ordered a burger and fries before the movie started. I always order just popcorn and a drink. Yeah. But this time, since it was a big movie, I decided to order burger and fries. And then it never came throughout the entire movie. So I was just sitting there hungry throughout the entire movie. Every time somebody would walk up, I'd be like, oh, there it is. But then it wouldn't be my food. And then since I didn't have my food, I drank through my drink really fast. So I had to use the bathroom like halfway through the movie. And I missed like 5 minutes of the movie. So I was hoping that just kind of affected me mentally when watching the movie. So I was hoping the second time when we watched it today, I would enjoy a little more. Well, I was hoping a lot more. And I suppose I enjoyed a tad bit more, but a lot of the things that I didn't like the first time watching still were there, and still I still had the same opinions about them. Unfortunately, I was really wanting to like this movie, but I just want to be honest and not try to lie and force myself to like it. It's a pretty big disappointment in my opinion.
And overall, I will say, to me, I liked it. And like I said, if I were to compare what I saw today to what I was wanting a few months ago, I probably would be disappointed. And I do, but overall, like I said, the reviews, if you read reviews and watch reviews and you read why people love it, watch why people love it, it's pretty accurate to why, because like I said, it's very much so this very bright comic booky movie, very James Gunn-ish type of movie. And overall, I felt like it was for me, I felt like it was pretty enjoyable. Where I really had a lot of issues is the humor.
Oh yeah. The humor for me didn't land like at all throughout the entire movie. There's maybe like 2 or 3 times where it got like a chuckle out of me, but all the rest of the humor was just didn't land, and some was even kind of pretty cringy. In my opinion.
And I will say, I do think there are some characters where I did like the humor more from. Like I did like the humor from Mr. Terrific probably the most. And because his humor was more realistic humor. Like to me, it didn't feel like forced humor. It just felt like a guy that was getting irritated at some things, or in certain situations, But honestly, David Cornsweet, I felt like every single one of his jokes did not land for me at all. And I don't know for sure if that was the writing of the jokes, or if it was maybe David Cornsweet's just not very good at comedic timing. I'm not sure. But overall, a lot of the humor was not that great to me.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I feel like you can still have like a bright Superman, and like we were talking about in the beginning of the video, like a bright and hopeful Superman, without like having him like throw out one-liners.
Yeah. Well, even other than like Zack Snyder, the past Supermans have had that more brighter feeling.
Exactly, like Christopher Reeve and all these other different versions. Yeah, you don't have to have them making jokes. Yeah. To be hopeful and bright and optimistic and everything.
Yeah, exactly. I will say, however, I did really like David Cornsweet as Superman. He did provide that feel, and I don't really want to bash Henry Cavill as Superman for this, because obviously he's just an actor. I don't want to say like that. He's just a stupid actor. No, I mean like he's just the actor. So like if he's given direction to be a certain type of Superman, then he's going to be that Superman.
Exactly. That like what the movie's built around.
Yeah, exactly. But I will say, this movie, I do like the more hopeful Superman that is provided by David Cornsweet. I think he's a really good Superman, to be completely honest. I think where I feel like they could have done a little better with David Cornsweet as Superman is, I feel like every time he screams, they should have just made him talk sternly and loudly.
Right.
Because when he screams, it kind of throws you out of the moment. Because his scream is kind of like it kind of breaks.
Yeah.
Like almost. I don't want to say that there's like a complete break in his voice, but there's just something about the way he screams is almost like crackly. It's hard to explain.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. And so like you have these really good scenes. Like one of my favorite scenes in the movie is whenever Clark Kent and Lois Lane are talking to each other in like an apartment, like almost like an interview type style. It's like at the very beginning of the movie. Well, like maybe like within the first 30 minutes of the movie. I love that scene. And I love the whole conversation that was going on. I love David Cornsweet's acting in that scene. It was great. I loved it. And then he screams at the very end, and it kind of just throws me out of it a little bit.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be so bad if they just did that, because that was a very emotional scene for him. But it's like every other time he screamed, he did that.
Right, yeah.
So like I would have been okay if it was just a choice for that scene. Like, oh, he was just getting so emotional and like revved up that like he just screamed, however. But every time he screams throughout the whole movie, he kind of screams like that.
Right, yeah. I do want to bring up like the first like 30 minutes of the movie, which it is a movie that like it's not an origin story, which they announced a long time ago, so we knew that going in. And I do like the idea of not doing the origin story again, but I did like the first 30 minutes of the movie. But after the first 30 minutes, I feel like, for me at least, that's when the story started like going downhill a little bit. It did start to feel like we jumped into the middle of a movie at some point, to where we missed a lot of like a lead up to a lot of these relationships and all that. But and then with the Daily Planet characters, I feel like they were just kind of there. I feel like we missed a whole chunk of them building up the chemistry between them, and especially because they're pretty vital to the end of the movie. Yeah. And I don't know, I once we got to that point, it was like, I don't really care about any of these people. I mean, obviously Superman and Lois Lane were in the movie throughout the entire movie, and I did like them too. Yeah. But then the rest of the characters, I don't know, I just feel like I didn't feel the chemistry.
I won't say I feel opposite.
And also, I do also want to mention that I don't think that every character in a movie needs to have like a bunch of screen time or like an arc or anything, but I just feel like for how important they were towards the end of the movie.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
I just feel like they were just kind of there and then thrust into the position. Yeah, all of a sudden.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I feel the opposite. I feel a little different. I do feel like the story was pretty decently put together. I felt like there was a pretty good flow for most of the movie. Overall, I liked the story quite a bit. I did like the story quite a bit. But I do see what you're saying kind of about some of the people from the Daily Planet, like especially I think Perry was like probably the main one I understand, because he was honestly, you kind of forget that he exists until he randomly pops up. But one thing I will say I really liked was Lois Lane, and you brought it up, but I feel like Lois Lane, she was really good. Like the way they wrote her, she felt like an actual character, and she felt like Lois Lane.
She felt like an actual reporter.
yeah, exactly. Because in Zack Snyder's Superman, with Amy Adams as Lois Lane, I'm not gonna say she did bad, but I'm gonna say I didn't. And I'm not even gonna say I hated her Lois Lane. I just don't think her Lois Lane was interesting like at all.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. So so the Lois Lane in this one felt like a real character. She felt like a strong character, a strong person. So I really did enjoy that. So overall, I really did like all the actors and all the characters, and I haven't even talked about really, but Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor I thought was great. I loved him as Lex Luthor.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see more of him, because he was pretty great as a character.
Yeah, exactly. And I will say,
and also it's pretty funny because it's pretty perfect casting, because he actually auditioned to be Superman.
That's right.
For this movie.
It's so crazy. I mean, maybe he would have bulked up or something. I'm trying to imagine.
So it's just hilarious, just that he was turned down to be Superman. So he was cast as Lex. It's just a perfect chip on his shoulder type of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
for him to bring as his Lex.
I would say another big problem I had with this movie was there was one scene, and my chair is cracking a whole lot, so hopefully you probably could hear that the whole entire video. But,
that's all good.
There's one scene in this movie, and it's a scene that a lot of people, I don't think they had to release a scene, they just released like an image of it. When the image came out, I saw people getting mad about it. It's like, I'm like, I think that's kind of ridiculous to get mad about. You don't actually know what's happening here.
Yeah.
Maybe, you don't know what's happening. So in the movie, I will say I understood what they're trying to go for. I understood the kind of emotions they were trying to have us see. They're trying to, and things like that. But ultimately, it really made Superman just seem like he didn't care about what was happening.
Right.
Because it was something relatively serious that was happening in the movie. And obviously I don't live there, so maybe it wasn't. I mean, he basically said that it wasn't as serious as we're probably seeing it to be.
Right.
But ultimately, it's right there.
It's honestly the first time I watched the movie, it was hard for me to pay attention to the conversation, because the whole time I was like, that's Superman, there's a giant monster over there. I'm
like, just go, like it's right there. It's not like it's like way off.
Especially if it's so easy, just go stop it and then have this conversation, so nobody gets hurt.
Yeah, and I think they were trying to do two things there. I think they were trying to show a beat down Superman. They did say like, he's like, they have that handle, it's not that big of a deal. And I think they're also trying to throw in a slight joke in there, but I just think it didn't work. And I think if they want to do it, maybe they could have done it differently. At the very least, don't put it right outside his window.
Right, just have it off somewhere else, like on the news or something. And since we're talking about a scene that we didn't like, there's two scenes which I won't describe where they are, because we're not really doing spoilers right now. But there's two scenes that involve like showing like news, like on a bunch of screens. There's one towards the beginning of the movie and one towards the end of the movie, and I felt like they were both kind of, I don't know if corny is the right word, but it didn't feel like it was very strong writing the way they did it. I don't mind the plot points that the news that those scenes set up. But I feel like there's a better way they could have gone about it, because it just felt like they didn't know how. Well, James Gunn didn't know how to like write that scene. So he's just like, okay, let's just do it this way.
Yeah.
The most like simple way to go about it. And they're big scenes too. Both scenes were pretty big scenes, huge scenes. So I just didn't really like how he progressed the story that way.
Yeah.
Oh, and also going back to that one scene where it seems like he doesn't care while he's having that conversation with Lois. I do want to say every part of the movie besides that one scene, I do love how he like had to focus on saving people.
Yeah.
Like towards the beginning of the movie, there's like a giant monster attacking the city.
Yeah.
It's shown in the trailers. And the whole time he's like saving people around. He even like saved like a squirrel from getting squished. So I do really appreciate that aspect of the Superman.
Yeah.
That he actually tries to like not take lives.
Yeah, exactly. And
not take lives and also save lives while he's fighting villains.
Because I really don't dislike this scene, but a lot of people had a problem with like Man of Steel whenever like Superman was just flying through buildings and all this stuff there.
There's one point when General Zod throws like a truck or something at him, and he just like flies over it and lets it crash into like a building. Like, okay, you could have at least tried to catch that and stop it.
So, but I do really like how this movie did make a point of that, to do that. But then there's just that one scene where I'm kind of like, just do it, just like I think I feel like they didn't have to have that like in the background at all, like at all. It was very unnecessary. But overall, I did like it, but at a very basic level, maybe a little bit more than that. But there was a lot here that I feel like could have been changed. I feel like, obviously didn't need to be nearly as funny as it was. And I felt like there is a balance that James Gunn needed to find in this movie where it's getting those little comic booky details.
Right, yeah.
And mixing it with live action.
He kind of like poured the whole the whole can into his movie.
Exactly. And for some people that may really work. And this is one of those movies where I really can I can fully understand like any range of opinion on. Because like ultimately, if you love comic books, if you love campiness, if you love the James Gunn kind of movies, it's all there. Like, and if you love all that, it's done well within that regard. But if you don't want that, you're going to hate it.
Yeah, which that's another thing. Like the first 30 minutes of the movie, because I'd seen people before going to the movie, I'd seen people compare this movie to like the Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. Yeah. And like the first 30 minutes, I actually felt that. I was like, oh my gosh, this actually does feel like the Raimi trilogy. And I was actually enjoying that. But then, as the movie kept going, it just like kept going more and more and more onto that side. I was like, okay, there should be a balance here, or at least in my opinion. But like you said, some people might like that. But
and some people, like I said, because overall, it's pretty enjoyable. But for me, I'm kind of in that mid range. I would say between like, I don't love it. Nor do I think it's really good. Yeah. But like it's a movie I enjoyed. I would watch it again. Like if someone wanted to watch it with me, I would watch it again. I
also really love the Paul Kent and Ma Kent in this movie too. I was hoping. I mean, obviously we'll probably see them more as more movies come out. But I was hoping to see more of them. That's one thing I was sad that this wasn't an origin movie because we didn't get to see more of them. Clark with them too. But it's not like a negative for the movie. I just wish we could have seen them more because I liked them.
And speaking on to that, one thing I did think was really cool, and we didn't discuss it, so you may have a completely different opinion than I do, but they made a slight change to his origin, and this could put some comic book fans off. It also depends on what your definition of small is. Like it's nothing that really majorly changes anything, how Superman got here and all this stuff. Like it doesn't majorly change anything to where it's a completely different character, but it's just one tiny little one detail that I actually did like, to be completely honest. I felt like it gave him it made Superman a little more interesting, to be completely honest. I mean, it's gonna be one of those things where hardcore comic book fans probably will hate it.
And also, I just want to bring up that the Jimmy character in this movie, which I know in the comics, Jimmy is a pretty wacky character.
Yeah.
And there's like a lot of like solo Jimmy comics where he has like wacky adventures and all that. But there's this recurring joke in this movie where like he's like all like these women are like attracted to him.
Yeah.
And I think it would have been funny here and there.
Yeah.
But like they made like every scene he was in that joke. I don't know. It just became really awkward and like cringy. Yeah. And like a big part of the plot hinged on that too. So I don't know. I feel like going back to the humor, I feel like there could have been like a balance to a lot of the jokes that they had in this movie.
Yeah, and I think honestly, when it comes when you boil it all down, the biggest problem with the movie is basically it didn't balance much of anything. It really just made a decision and went all the way with it.
Right.
You know, and but at one point, I can respect that to some degree. But at another point, it's like, well, at the same time, you really do need to find that balance. I do love James Gunn's obsession with obscurity, like just finding these obscure characters, finding these characters that you'll never hear anybody just bring up. Yeah. You know, like nobody really cares about, and he'll just put them in the movie. I do love that he does that. I do love that he loves comic books enough to be able to find a way to actually make it feel like the comic book's on the screen. And that works a lot of times, but I do feel like in this case he just couldn't find that balance like he usually does.
Right. Yeah. And honestly, like if I had seen this movie without hearing about like the different things James Gunn has said about his universe moving forward, I would have been kind of worried that if this was going to be the type of movies moving forward that DC would put out, I'd be kind of worried. But it is kind of cool that James Gunn has said that he's going to allow the different filmmakers that make the other movies to have different tones for their movies. And he's going to allow the DC universe to have different tones for each of its heroes and movies and all that. So that kind of makes me excited and doesn't make me too nervous about the future of the DCU movies moving forward.
Yeah. And overall for me, it's like, this movie was disappointing, but it's nothing that really made me feel worried about the future of DC. I mean, that may change.
Right.
Like, that may change on the next movie. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah. But the best way I could probably describe this movie is that it felt like a Saturday morning cartoon. Yeah. But not necessarily like a really good one. Just a Saturday morning cartoon. Yeah. Because it did really have that feel.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. Like I said, I do think that. Well, I know that I probably like this movie a decent amount more than you did. But like I said, I liked it just like a really basic level. I'm going to say that Superman is 70% awesome.
And I'm going to say that Superman is 55% awesome.
Well, guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, comment and let us know what you thought about Superman and, basically if you want to rank them down below or anything like that. And also, like, the crazy Snyder fans. Just want to say, I still think you're crazy. Not all Snyder fans. Not all Snyder fans. Just the crazy Snyder fans.
Yeah, and you know who you are.
Yeah. Relax, okay? It doesn't matter how we feel about this movie. Relax. It's okay. It's all right.
Yeah. And I do want. I didn't mention it earlier, but I guess we kind of did towards the beginning. But I do love pretty much all of James Gunn's other projects. So I'm not a James Gunn hater either. Yeah. So I want people to know that either. Yeah. Or I want people to know that too. I've loved pretty much everything else James Gunn has done, comic book wise. But just this movie was a misfire in my opinion, at least. Yeah. And not completely, but just for the most part. Yeah. But don't forget to follow us on social media. We have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and TikTok, all at The Awesome Drone Show.
And as always, thank you. I forgot what to say at that point. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and you will see us later.